Welcome back to another episode of Story Behind the Story. John Walker here, joined by Tucker today. Tucker is the assistant sports editor. Normally we're joined by his predecessor, Andrew Wegley.
Boss.
Yeah, your boss, actually.
Yeah.
But we have the good stuff, actually, here today. Sorry, Andrew. But we normally have Wegley on here talking a little bit about Ben McCollum and the men's basketball team. This week we'll transition and talk a little bit about Northwest softball. So we will just hop straight into it. Tucker, you had the opportunity to cover them this past week in the Missouri, and tell me a little bit about how their season started.
Of course. Well, softball, it's been rough this year with everything going on with the weather. It's been a brutal winter. They haven't been able to get on the field and actually practice.
Yeah.
So Hughes Fieldhouse has been the main source of practice. They went down to UCO this last weekend, and they played on an all-turf field in UCO, which that does help, practicing on the turf than getting to an all-turf field down in Edmond, Oklahoma. So they weren't able to get a win against Central Oklahoma, and then they even traveled to Tahquah. Is that how you say that?
Tahquah.
That's a tough name.
It is.
Why would you put a university there when the name's so hard? But anyway, they traveled there, weren't able to get a win either. So they're now regrouping. They've just had their two home games already scheduled. They've been postponed, no dates yet set, but they are looking at a matchup with Missouri Western coming up next Tuesday.
And that'll be a big game for them.
Right.
Is that one supposed to be here or there?
It's supposed to be there. They moved down there.
And the weather 45 minutes away isn't much different than here. Here we've had not the best of luck with weather. How has that really affected how the team's kind of been able to perform so far? You haven't really been able to cover them because they've been in Tahquah and Central Oklahoma and everything and haven't really been here.
Right, and that's where really relying on athletics comes in handy here.
Yeah.
You have to really trust what athletics is saying, and it's hard, especially to cover a team that you really don't know how they perform. And I think from just reading the stats and stuff, you can kind of get a good idea, but actually seeing the team in action is the best way to see how they can perform. Unfortunately, I'm probably going to make that drive down to St. Joe just so I can see a game, because I got to see what this team can do. They've struggled to put runs up on the board. I know they only scored 6 runs in 4 games this last weekend, and I think they allowed 27 runs. So that's not a great ratio, what you want. But a bright spot for them has been Caitlin Weiss. She's hit 4 home runs, hitting really well against conference competition. But they've just haven't been able to push runs across the board. Another stat on Weiss is that she's actually accounted for over half of Northwest runs. That's in scoring and driving in. Weiss has been that dude.
And then alongside her, what is another focal point that this Northwest team, if they want to kind of get things turned around, that they should really focus on?
Yeah, Coach Ryan Anderson, I talked to him just a couple of days ago. He said the main focus is really the mental game. They haven't been able to get out on the field. They haven't been able to actually play on dirt.
Yeah.
Take infield on actual dirt where they play most of their games at. So what he's trying to do is make sure that they're ready in between the ears, and he's making sure that they're ready when they take the field to go out aggressive, and that's hard to do when you're in the cage and when you're cooped up inside. Hughes Fieldhouse is a great facility, but once you're in there or once you get out, you just want to get out of there.
Absolutely. It's different seeing a ball hop up from turf than it is maybe hitting that edge of the grass and popping up into your glove from the infield.
Right.
But Tucker, thank you for joining us today.
Appreciate
we'll
you.
probably have to kick Wegley off and have you on here a lot more. But once again, thank you. Everybody, make sure to check out Tucker's article over the softball team, and make sure you keep tuned into their season as they look to progress and get a little bit better. That's going to be it for this episode of Story Behind the Story. Make sure to check out next episode next week. And thank you for watching the KNWT Channel 8 YouTube exclusive.